We start program of today's interaction session with the prayer.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunattu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.
Distinguished Professor Uday Khankoje sir, in tune with Vidyashala training program, whenever an opportunity comes, the management of the institution grabs that opportunity and arranges for an interaction session with eminent persons, scientists, renowned persons who are accomplished in that line of as a model for our students. In that connection, today we have with us dear students. So before I tell, these are students of +1 and +2 and some selected students of 10th standard. So this is the target audience, and I teach physics for these students, and we are very happy to have you today in today's interaction session. And dear boys, on behalf of the institution, I extend a hearty welcome to Professor Uday Khankoje sir. A brief introduction which I got from the Department of Electrical Engineering and also from the Google. If I am wrong, please correct sir. Not necessary. But I wanted our boys to know the speaker better. So, sir is the professor of one of the professors of Electrical Engineering Department at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. He did his B.Tech Electrical Engineering from IIT Bombay. Then he did his PhD from Electrical Engineering Department of California Institute of Technology, Caltech, very renowned institution for engineering research. Then further postdoctoral at the University of Southern California in Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Presently, he is elevated to the post of professor, from the assistant professor to professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Chennai. Professor leads a research group called Numerical Electromagnetics and Optics at IIT Chennai. This is the professional part of our today's guest, an accomplished scientist, product of IIT. Again, after all his PhDs and other things, if I am permitted to say, from my point of view, though he would have had innumerable opportunities to stay back in States, please permit me to say this, he chose to come back and work in the IIT. Thank you, sir. Apart from that, I am told by the principal sir is actually he has a meeting with the DDPU, he has gone today, and principal sir told me, Professor Uday sir is a initiated devotee of our Ramakrishna Mutton mission. A hearty welcome to you, sir, to this interaction session. And these boys, in another 2 days, they are going to second PUC boys. That is +2 boys. On second, they are going to write their first preparatory examination. But the institution does not lose any such opportunities because it's after all a 45 minutes interaction session. And I request you to address our boys for this age group, and later on we can have the interaction session. Then students are free to ask whatever doubts you have, whatever you want to know little more about IITs and how you should do all those things, whatever questions you have got, whenever you ask a question, my students, please tell your name, tell your whether first PU or second PU, then you can ask put forth what is your doubt. Thank you, sir.
Okay, respected teachers, thank you for this warm welcome and warm introduction. And all my dear students, welcome and thanks for having me over here. So, I'm used to giving lectures of a different type. I never give lectures like this. The lectures I give in IIT are on the board, lots of physics, lots of mathematics. So this is a different kind of lecture. It's a non-technical lecture. So I was thinking, what is it that will be of interest to you? I'm not going to teach you any physics or maths over here, that your teachers are here for. I thought I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. I'll tell you some of the interesting science which I did and which I'm doing now. And what are some of the opportunities that are available for you in this country. Okay. So your teacher mentioned that, he mentioned a little bit about my background. So yesterday I was walking, I'm staying in Rimse for a few days. I was walking around, I was seeing all of you, maybe some of you, your classmates were playing hockey and football. I was thinking all of you are so fortunate that you have such good facilities, sports facilities, etc. that you have. Can you turn that off? Yeah. All these facilities which you have, do you think most of the students of this country have such facilities? No, right? You go to some private school somewhere, mostly there will be just one dabba-like building. You have your swimming pool, you have I don't know how many hockey grounds and football grounds and so on, right? So I related to this because he mentioned that I had many opportunities to stay in the US, but I came back. And this is a question that many students ask. Sir, you could have stayed there. And yes, I could have stayed there. There was a very big career also possible over there. So the feeling I had was the education I got in IIT is the best education the country is giving to me. If I take that education and go somewhere out, what is the point? It's like cheating someone who has given you a big favor. So with that feeling, I came back over here to India. And I felt similarly for you that, you're seeing all of these facilities. Somewhere you should feel a little bit of gratitude that you are getting something which so many of maybe your cousins or other friends are not getting, right? So this feeling you should always keep inside you that you are getting so much. Somewhere you have to think of giving it back in a better, with interest, as they say. So, okay, so I went to the United States, I did my PhD. Throughout my experience for over all these years, every time I was somehow found myself in the presence of very great scientists. So one of the very sort of amazing property or quality of the institute where I did my PhD, so it's called Caltech. Caltech has 33 Nobel Prizes to its name. Can you imagine? 33 Nobel Prizes have been won by scientists from Caltech. So when I went there, I was, first few months I was sitting in a physics seminar, and the person sitting next to me in the audience, he looked famous. Like I've seen his photo or something somewhere. I was thinking, where have I seen? Then my friend next to me told me, oh, this guy, he won the Physics Nobel Prize last year. So very humble, down to earth, sitting in the audience just like any of, my friends. So what really stayed with me throughout is, science is a very great thing, and it is a much better thing to pay attention to and put your hopes on rather than high-paying job, high-paying career. Why is IIT so famous? Can someone tell me? When you read IIT in the newspaper, why do you read about IIT's name? Consistency. Anything else? Be honest. Your parents must also be telling, oh, you should write IIT exam, JEE exam. Why? Salary, correct. Pay package. So media has a tendency to make a big thing out of a normal thing, right? So pay package. But I can tell you, pay package will get you up to some point. But if you're not going to get satisfaction in your job, if you're going to be working for some multinational company, filling spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, how satisfying will that be for you? You will get bored in 2 months. And many of my friends from IIT, they went and joined these companies. I have a friend who works in Google. used to work in Google in San Francisco. He told me, I asked him one day, hey, what is your job? I thought he'll tell me something very high funda. You know what he said? He says, you know YouTube? I said, of course I know YouTube. YouTube has all these videos. In between the videos, what is the most irritating thing? Ads. His job was to make an algorithm to decide where to place the ad in YouTube. Does it sound exciting? It sounds like the most boring thing, right? He will be getting a good salary, no doubt. They take care of their employees very well. They will do their laundry, they'll give them food and gym and whatever. But at the end of the day, you should see where am I going to get some real satisfaction from. Salary, you don't need to have salary of a king, no? Enough to live a decent life. But at the end of the day, what is this job satisfaction that you get? So that is where I want to tell you science and engineering. Both of these, particularly in our country, there are so many opportunities now that you can make a good career out of science. So I'll give you one example. So the first example I want to give you is, after I finished my PhD, I wanted to get some more work experience in US before coming back to India. So for about 1.5 years, I was a scientist at NASA. So that time, the first day when I went to NASA, you know what? They took me on a tour. They took me on a tour inside. This is in Los Angeles. They showed me one big hangar. You know what a hangar is? Like where aircrafts and all. But they had changed that hangar. And inside that, they were assembling the Mars rover. So a few months later, they were going to launch that spacecraft that would go to Mars and drop the one small, like a car they had made. They would drop it on the surface of Mars and it would drive around, collect some samples, get some data, send it back to us. So they were testing that rover. So that was my first day's experience that they're building this rover right in front of me. And a few months later, it's going to be launched. Now, in today, 2025, you don't have to go all the way to NASA to do this. Right now, ISRO is doing it. They have launched moon missions. You know that Chandrayaan 1, 2, 3, they have landers. Next, they are planning Mangalyaan. It will land on Mars and so on, right? So you could imagine how satisfying it would be that instead of filling Excel sheets for multinational company, you can be designing Mars lander or moon lander for ISRO. Those possibilities exist for you. So you have to keep your dream a little bit high. Don't settle for just a job. You will get job anyway. If you graduate from a very nice school like this one, you will get a job. There's no doubt about it. But question is, why should you have such a low ambition? Your ambition should be something where you can do some good science, bring a good name to the country, inspire other people to also do this. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about one of the experiments missions I was part of at NASA. Everyone has everyone seen Saturn in the night sky? Yes? So Saturn, does it have any moons? How many moons? 16 moons. And maybe there are smaller other moons also. And on a good day, you can even see it with a small telescope. Maybe from your observatory itself, you can see it. Does it work, the observatory? Okay. Now, you will notice if someone asks you, what is the most special quality of Saturn? What is it? Rings. Okay. So now I'll tell you a little bit of a story that involves Saturn and rings and me. So this mission was to study one of the moons of Saturn. Okay. Now that name of that moon you will forget, but I will tell you anyway. It was called Enceladus. That was a name. A small little few hundred kilometers in radius, almost like a rock. Now you may think we are sitting here in Earth, Saturn is there, and that has one small moon. Why are we interested in? Now you may ask, why is humanity interested in exploring space in the first? Why? Does it give us any benefit? Supposing I send a rover to land on Mars, is there any benefit to any of you? Colonization, that's far off. Any other benefit? Supposing there's no colonization, there's no oxygen there. Any benefit? You will say no. Huh? Resources. Maybe. To get to Mars, you have to spend so much money. So, you have to break even. So here is one big lesson I learnt. If you look at everything from utility, what is the use? You will live a very poor life. All of you, at some point or the other in your childhood, you have looked up to the stars with a feeling of wonder. What is this? Vast space, so many stars, unknown things. What is the most fundamental human quality? Curiosity. What is this? Just that's the question. What is this? So you want to explore it and understand it for the sake of itself, not because it will give you some benefit. It may give you some benefit. In fact, when people have done space technology, like one very good example is our Dr. Abdul Kalam. For launching a satellite into space, you have to make it very lightweight. Otherwise, it's too heavy. You have to, give the rocket fuel to launch. So they discovered some very light materials. Now, those light materials, later on, they realized that this is a very strong material, it's lightweight. They used it to make for crutches for polio affected people. Very lightweight crutches. You know what a crutch is? On the leg they will put if you are disabled. So, you see, you don't know it. When Abdul Kalam and his team, they were designing this space material, they didn't have in mind, oh, polio person we will solve. They were working for, let us make it a cost-effective launch. Should be lightweight, so launch cost is low. Simple idea. And see, later on these benefits comes. So you will find across science and technology that many things, the use people later on discover. But originally people are going for it based on curiosity. Okay, so that was one little aside. So we come back to Enceladus. So NASA launched a probe. So it went up on the satellite, was launched, and this probe was to study this one small satellite of Saturn called Enceladus. Now, why would they study Enceladus? So what is one of the most basic human question that we have when we look at the night sky? I want to hear some answers from you. What is the question? Forget about faida kya hai. What is the use? Tell me.
Does life exist beyond Earth?
Very good. That's a genuine question. Are we alone in this universe? Or are there little green people somewhere out there? That's the question. That's how movies show it. Any other question? Multiverse. Is there a multiverse? Are we in a single universe or is there a multiverse? Right? So the first question which your friend gave is actually a very, very important question. Are we alone? Now when you try to answer that question of are we alone, you think what are the building blocks of life? What is the most basic component required for life? Amino acids. What else? Oxygen. Water. Where there is water and some atmosphere, there is a chance that life in some primitive form can start. Right? So in the solar system, if we find some place where there is water, we want to go and explore and see what is this? Is there some small life happening over there? Right? That is actually the reason, if you look at ISRO's mission to the moon, Chandrayaan, where did they send it to take a photo of? Pole. Why the pole? It has ice cap. If there is ice, then if I make a moon base over there, I can get water. I don't have to carry water from Earth, so cost comes down. So water is something very precious which we are trying to find in the solar system. So it turns out Enceladus has a very strange thing happening on it. It's a land you cannot even imagine. It has volcanoes, and imagine, it's only 200 kilometers. It has volcanoes on it, but these volcanoes, they don't spit out lava. Can you guess what they spit out? Ice. There are volcanoes on Enceladus which spew ice particles. It's called cryovolcanism. It's a phenomena found only in one moon of Jupiter, one moon of Saturn. Can you imagine? Imagine our moon, and suddenly it starts spitting out ice crystals. Now this satellite Enceladus, because it is small, will its gravity be small or big? What do you think? It will be small, because gravitational force is proportional to the mass of the satellite. Mass is low, gravitational attraction is low. So this volcano spits out the ice particles, and where does it go? Some of it will fall back on Enceladus. Where will the balance go? Space. But space, this is a satellite of which planet? Saturn. Saturn has big gravity or less gravity? Huge gravity. So what will happen to those ice particles? It will form So it forms one of the rings. So one of the rings of Saturn is called the E ring of Saturn, is actually formed by this small little chotu Enceladus, which is spitting out ice particles, which form a ring around this. Now, this knowledge has not given us any advantage or use, but it's very satisfying to know, okay, this is how this ring comes. Next, if I find some other solar system and I see rings around a planet, now I may think, okay, possibly there is water over there. And you know, the strange thing, scientists don't even know how water came on Earth. There are theories which say that the water on Earth came from Mars. So we don't even know how water came on Earth. So this water that is hanging around in Saturn could well have been the reason why water came on Earth, and because of which life began. Right? So these are some of the mysteries of the universe which we are all trying to solve. It's not known. It looks like you pick up a textbook, everything is known. Actually, we know very little. So it is the challenge for you guys who will in the next few years step into college and then job to try to answer, first formulate these questions and then try to answer it. So what was my role in this? This cryovolcanism, how did anyone know it? It's so far away that you cannot put a telescope and see it. So the way we found it out is by an indirect way. So what is that indirect way? The spacecraft that was sent to look at Enceladus, it had on it what is called a radar. Radar may be a word some of you have heard, some of you may not have heard. If you go to the airport, you will see one metallic dish that is rotating all the time like this. So what is it doing? It's sending out an electromagnetic wave, radio wave. When it hits another aircraft, that wave gets reflected back. And if I calculate how much time it took to come back, I know speed of light, I can calculate distance. Simple. That's how the air traffic controller knows, okay, Indigo is there, Air India is there, or whatever, so that they don't crash into each other. So this is a simple example of a radar. For the space mission, they made it into very compact, very lightweight, so that it could fly on the spacecraft. And they put this radar on the spacecraft. The name of the spacecraft was Cassini-Huygens. Okay, long name, named after some Italian scientist long ago. So this satellite is orbiting around Enceladus, around Saturn. What it does, it sends a radar wave and then it gets reflected and that energy comes back. Now, I'm going to, without giving you any mathematical equation, we'll do a thought experiment. Okay. So for this thought experiment, we'll pretend that we are not using radar, but we are using laser pointer. Okay. They are both electromagnetic waves, frequency is different. So if I give you a laser pointer, everyone has seen a laser pointer. If I shine the laser pointer on a very nice mirror, how much of that light will get reflected back? Most of the light will get reflected back because it is a good reflector, right? On the other hand, if I shine it on this pink granite, how much will come back? Very less. So the strange mystery about Enceladus was that when you shine, supposing I'm taking a laser pointer, I'm shining it at that pink granite, I should get a very weak signal back. Everyone agrees? But instead what scientists found is that from that pink granite, I'm getting very strong reflection back. How is it possible? That is the thing that confused scientists for a long time. This should be a very poor reflector. It should not send any energy back, but a lot of the energy is coming back as though it is a perfect mirror. So what me and my colleagues did, we made what is called an electromagnetic model to try to explain why such a strong energy is coming back. And we came to a very nice conclusion, and this was a very beautiful experience because my background is, let us say, radar. There were other scientists whose background was hydrology, geology, planetary science. They don't understand what I do, I don't understand what they do. But together we understand more. So that was our combination. So they told me, it is this Enceladus has this property of cryovolcanism. There are all of these ice particles floating around and then falling on the surface. So to cut a very long story short, what we found out, the resolution of this mystery, how is this pink granite being a very good reflector? If you just take a block of ice, okay, you've seen block of ice, they'll be selling some ganna or something on it, right? If you take one block of ice, it is a very poor reflector, just like this granite. Now what they do, you take a hammer and you break that ice block into small chunks. and now you shine the laser light. So what happens to the laser light? Instead of just bouncing from the front face interface, light goes inside. Wherever there is a boundary, there's a boundary between these ice rocks, there little bit of the energy gets reflected back. And now if I have lots of these little like rubble like ice, every time there is a interface between two rocks, light gets reflected. So all told, this large amount of light now starts coming back to me. Very strange. Now, we would not have ever guessed this if the geology people had not told us that, look, there is a volcano of ice. So now the volcano is spitting out these ice particles, they are falling on the ground and they are reflecting radar waves like this. So this is how we solved the mystery of why Enceladus is so bright to a radar. Right? So you can imagine, I mean, we worked on this for a long time. The kind of fun and the kind of satisfaction that you get by working on this compared to some silly app you make on the phone. There's no comparison, right? So right now you are in class 11, 12, some of you are in class 10. You will see a lot of people talking about programming and apps and all of that. This is all very small shelf life. You will get bored of it in no time. But there are all of these other mysteries that are hanging out in, for us to solve. So this was something which we did back in, which I did back in the US. Then I came back over here to India. So I've been working in IIT Madras. So recently, okay, so I won't take names, but let us say there is some organization which approached us, which is involved in the defense of this country. And they said that we need to make a radar. Now, what is the radar for? For military, what is the use of radar? To detect enemy aircrafts, enemy drones. Nowadays, drones have become a big thing, right? So, what is it that we do right now? We import these radars from other countries. Okay? Names I won't take, but we import these and we spend thousands of crores for one radar. Can you imagine? 1,000 plus crores to get one radar. So this defense agency, they approached us saying, we are spending so much of our money on this. Can IIT Madras help us to build India's own radar so that we don't have to give so much money? And this one radar is not enough. You need about 50 of them. So Navy will need these many, Air Force will need so many, Army will need so many. You can imagine how much of our taxpayer money is not staying in the country, it is going outside the country. Why? Because we are not building our own, right? So you can imagine that by the time you guys are ready to take up engineering jobs, what all great problems are there for you to solve. It's not like some chota-mota jobs, these are huge jobs to build a radar. So this is an example of what we are working on. When we started working on, we realized that if we make it, the cost is about 1 lakh for one piece, one component. The same thing if we buy from the foreign country, they are selling it to us for 25 lakh. That much is the difference. So you can imagine 1 lakh, 1:25. So if I am spending 1 crore of my own money, they are charging me 25 crores for it. So 24 crore profit for them. All of that money goes outside the country. Everything that your parents, that we all are paying as tax, it is going outside. So this is one huge problem that you can think of. This is from the defense point of view. Other thing which is very important, has everyone heard of 4G and 5G? Yes. It is, what is it? It's a communication standard, it is called, which is used for communication, right? Your phone, you can see it will have 4G, LTE, 5G, all of this. What do you think will come after 5G? 6G, right? So we, in IIT Madras, we are already working on 6G. It is going to be released in maybe 5-10 years from now. So we thought, so what happened when India went to 5G? India was not at all prepared to go to 5G, but the rest of the world went to 5G. So what happened? We ended up importing all the equipment. So this time government said, we will not be left behind. We will build our own solutions for 6G. So which is why they are funding, so like Department of Telecom, Government of India, they are funding crores worth of projects to IITs and such places so that we build our own solutions for 6G. So my research group, for example, I have 3 PhD students working with me. We are all working on different aspects of 6G. So one very fascinating thing that we are working on, it will sound like science fiction. So again, I love the idea of mirrors. So I'm going to give one more mirror analogy. So all of you must have studied Snell's law. What is it in one line if you say? Sin theta is sin theta r. In simpler words, can you say? Even simpler words, so that your grandmother can understand. Angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. Everyone can understand that. I don't need sine or whatever, right? Next your grandmother will say, what is sine? Then you have to draw a triangle, all that. No need for that. Angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. Now, if again I take a laser pointer, I shine it on a mirror at some angle, suppose 30 degrees. At what angle will it be reflected? 30 degrees. Nothing. This is discovered hundreds of years ago, right? By Snell and so on. Now, what we are working on is a kind of a mirror which has some electronic control inside it by which I can choose the angle of reflection. So you give me at 30 degrees, I will make the wave reflect at 0 degrees, at 50 degrees, at whatever angle I choose. So this is possible and people have made it. In my lab also we are in the process of fabricating this. These are what are called meta materials. Okay. What to study, to know how to build this, what are the skills that you need? It's basically physics, mathematics. These are the core skills which you need to know to understand it. Okay. So what you can ask, what is the use of this? Can someone think of a use of a mirror which can control angle of reflection? Invisibility. Very good. Can you explain more how invisibility? Sit, you can sit and answer.
If you make the rays go in a direction that other people can't see, it's somewhat invisible.
Very good. Anyone else wants to take a guess? So that's a very good idea. In fact, there's a word for it. It's called invisibility cloak. You've heard of it in Harry Potter. But such a thing actually exists and people have made it also. So I can take this, I can design this meta material and put it around, let us say, a house or an aircraft. So when a radar tries to detect it, it deflects the wave. That wave never comes back. If the wave never comes back, the radar will say, oh, there's no one there. Because how does the radar work? I send a pulse, I get back the reflection. Then I calculate time, and from that I can calculate distance. But if the pulse does not come back only, people say, okay, there's nothing there. Right? So that is, it has not actually become invisible. If I look with my naked eye, I can see, oh, there is some funny thing over there. But if it is at 100 kilometers and 200 kilometers, my naked eye will also not work. If it is night time, it will not work. Right? So this so-called invisibility cloak is an example of where I can use this. But this is going to be used in 6G also. Okay? For taking the wave from the base station and directing it towards where you are. Okay? So you can see that these are all, they sound very cool. Once you make it, there are many applications. So a scientist is not always sitting and thinking what is the use. You work on it for the fun of it. Mostly if you talk to any scientist, their main criteria in deciding to do something, is this fun? If it's not fun, if it's something mechanical, a good scientist is not going to be very interested in it. Okay? So even in your studies, when you go further on, you'll have to give some extremely boring competitive exams. Unfortunately, that is how the system is. You have to give that. But you can try to preserve your curiosity a little bit, that this is like the entry ticket to a bus. Once you enter the bus, what do you do with the ticket? Do you frame it on the wall? You throw it, no? So in fact, when new students come and join IIT, I do a small experiment with them. They get very upset. You know what I ask them to do? I say, okay, welcome all of you students. So imagine this would be you next year or next year from next year. They come, they're sitting, they're very proud, they've cracked the JEE exam, they've come and they're sitting. So I tell them all, okay, take out a clean piece of paper. Does everyone know your All India rank? So, yes sir, of course. You wake us up at 3 o'clock, we'll tell you what our All India rank is. Because they've earned it with a lot of effort. So okay, write it on a piece of paper. Everyone writes it. Say, okay, now take this piece of paper and throw it in the dustbin. They get very upset. I said, this is a bus ticket, no? You got into the bus. Now will you keep showing your neighbor see? Me. No use. They'll say, I'm also on the bus, no? So, a competitive exam or something like that, these are like bus tickets. It's not the destination. The destination is, what is the destination? Good science, good engineering. It doesn't matter, you can do physics, you can do chemistry, you can do mathematics. Your criteria in mind should be, let's do something good. Something that is, and if something which is good, it will be useful to people later on. Some way or the other it happens. And opportunities in India are really large amount. 2 decades ago when I was graduating out of school, what was common? Most students had this dream, somehow we will go to USA and never come back. That used to be the case. But that is completely changed now. Because India has grown a lot in the last 10-15 years. Indian government has a lot of money. In fact, when I talk to I have a lot of collaborators across the world. So I have collaborators in Sweden, in Italy and USA. I talk to them many times, how's your life over there? It's very stressful because the funding available for research is less compared to India. In India, we don't have that much of a problem. So then I think, that's very good. My life is very stress-free because money is available for me to do research. Why do I need money? 0 rupees of that goes to my salary. So I don't personally get any money from that funding. It goes into buying equipment, or for example, in my research group, all my students, they travel to an international country to present their work in an international conference. So they get a lot of confidence by doing that. So all of this requires money. You need money to buy air ticket and hotel and all of that. So money is required for research, and in India we are having lots and lots of it. Okay. So there is again 20 years ago, and to a large extent now also, you will find parents telling their children, you have to do computer science. You must have heard it. Can someone say why? Future means what? Let's be more specific. Salary. Most of the seemingly big questions, they come boiled down to salary. And that used to be true earlier when the IT boom and all was there. But now it's not necessary. There are many other branches of science and engineering which will give you a decent salary. You don't have to go like a crazy person towards computer science. If you are building, for example, India is building its own fighter jets now. It was not possible earlier. It's called AMCA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. Everyone has heard of LCA, Tejas? Yes. Now we are building the next generation of it, which will be a little bigger. So that's called AMCA. So, do you think that a fighter aircraft can be designed by computer science and engineering or programming? You need to know how a jet engine works. You need to build things. You need to put its communications. You need to put its weapons. So many skills are there. All branches of engineering are there, from mechanical, aeronautical, electrical, electronics. Computer science is also there, but it's one small part of it. Material science, how can I make a radar absorbing paint for the aircraft? So all of engineering you will see is getting used over there. So who are the companies? So there will be DRDO, Hindustan Aeronautics, some private companies, Larsen and Toubro. These are companies that are employing people. So plenty of jobs are available. So you don't have to worry about jobs. The only thing, my suggestion to you is to worry about, go towards creative, fun work. Because at the end of the day, if you are satisfied and having a good time, you will end up contributing to this country, so that we don't spend thousands of crores to buy radars from other countries. Okay. So these are some of the points which I wanted to put in front of you. Now you can open it up for any questions that you want to ask. You can ask me about my journey, or what I do, my students, anything that you find curious. It's okay, I'll stand alone. I'm used to standing.
Now it's open. Whoever wants to ask anything.
You can even ask non-technical questions. It's fine. Don't feel shy. Yes, there's a question there.
So
you can sit and ask.
So what do you say about the campus placement problems that we hear about IITs?
Campus placement problems.
Yes, sir. They say that not all IITs can give you good campus placements. Only the top ones can give you.
Yeah, so that is true to some extent. The older IITs, the ones which are more established, right? Bombay, Delhi, Madras, Kanpur, Kharagpur, companies, because they have been around for so long, companies have a well-established kind of a system to go to them for campus placements. In the newer IITs, it is not the fault of the newer IITs. It's taking time to get set. Okay. But let us say you go to IIT Dharwad. Okay. Will you have difficulty in campus placement? Maybe. Will you have difficulty in getting a job? No. So one common mistake people have is that I must get a job only through campus placement. But you can apply on your own to any company. No one is stopping you. There is no rule or law about it. So if, let us say you went, for example, just for sake of example, you went to IIT Dharwad and you studied really well. You did really well in all your courses. Okay. And so your technical profile is good. Now you apply to some company of your choice where you think the work is interesting. Will they hire you? Yes, because you have an IIT degree. So campus placement, it's a little bit like spoon feeding given to the students. So also the most jobless people are media people. They will say, oh, IIT Bombay so-and-so cracks Google job and gets so many crores. There is so much of masala put into it. So I'll give you an example. A friend of mine got a very good job and he came and boasted to me that, so much is, they called CTC. What is CTC? Cost to company. So he got a job in Bombay, and in Bombay, in South Bombay. So those of you who don't know, South Bombay real estate price is very high. So if I go rent a shop over there, I have to spend 1 lakh rupees a month for rent. Okay. So the company, the CTC that they told him, you will be getting 50 lakhs a year CTC. Does it mean that his salary was 50 lakh? No, CTC was 50 lakh because they included in that CTC how much rent they will be paying for his office space. He's not getting that in his pocket. His salary in hand must have been 20 lakh. But because the company is paying rent for office space, they included all of that this is how much it is costing to the company. It's not his actual salary. But the media won't say all that. Media will say, 50 lakh or 1 crore or whatever. So all of these numbers you should take not with a pinch of salt, but with a cup of salt. Okay, so that's a long answer to your question. Many possibilities are there.
Sir, but do you think it is better to aim towards deemed universities, like other deemed universities such as VIT?
It's a difficult question to answer. There's no straight answer for it. So what is the distinguishing feature of IIT versus other institutes? Generally, there is one big difference, and this makes a huge difference. It is the quality of teaching. So to become a professor in IIT, you have to get a PhD from a very good institute. Then you have to have some work experience. You need to publish research papers. Only then you can become a professor. This is not necessary in one of the universities, the example which you took, for example. So what is the difference that happens? The teaching is of a lower quality. If the teaching is of a lower quality, the student then will not gain that much. So then, you will miss out because your education will not be complete, right? So related to this, I want to tell you something which will be extremely useful. Has anyone heard of NPTEL? No, okay. So this is something which all the IITs did about 20 years ago. So what they said, IITs are only so many. How many students get to join IIT? Very few. So why should the rest of the students of the country, why should they be denied a good education? So what we have done, we record with video our lectures. So for example, many times in my class it has happened, I am lecturing on the board, there is a very high quality video camera like this placed over there, and it's capturing the whole thing. Now the full semester worth of recording with all the lecture notes, everything is now put on this platform called NPTEL. NPTEL will put the videos on YouTube. So every single engineering course, you can study yourself from NPTEL. You can get IIT quality education without having to go to an IIT. So if you, let us say, not everyone will clear JEE exam. So let us say you went to one of the universities you took to. Maybe the teacher is not so good. But that's not the end of the world, because you can quickly watch the full NPTEL video and get your quality of education back up to that standard. So I myself have recorded 2 full courses. They are fully and freely available on YouTube, and students across the world, they watch it and then they write back to me. So this was not available when I was a student, but now it's available to all of you. So you should note this down somewhere, NPTEL. This is the thing you can search on Google, and when you join your engineering, you should use this. Any other question?
So you just said that the research scene in India is booming right now.
Yes.
But I've seen on Reddit recently, like there are a lot of graduates from ICER, NIT, IIT who are still struggling to get doctoral seats in universities. So they're
to get what seats?
what do you call that? Doctoral.
Doctoral means PhD.
PhDs. So they're struggling to get entry to universities to pursue their doctoral degrees.
Right.
So that's why they're going to abroad nations.
No, they are struggling to get PhD spots in India or outside?
In India, in India, and one of them in ICER Bhopal or something. I read this yesterday on Reddit that she was not getting good her doctoral advisor was not friendly. He was not willing to support her academically.
Okay.
So what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so this question is a little too early for you to ask, because you will face this maybe 5 years later. But anyway, it's a good question. I will contrast it with so I have experienced the scene in India. I have experienced the scene in USA. Okay. So I have the comparison of both places. This issue that your PhD advisor is not nice to you, is exploiting you. This is unfortunately something that is true in India. It's also true in the US or any other foreign place. There's nothing special about India. The tendency to exploit another human being is a universal quality. So I have had my classmates in USA, they have left their science career because of reasons like what you mentioned. So there would be like a very famous chemistry professor, again, I will not take a name, but she was so exploitative of her students. She would call the lab at 8 p.m. Is everyone there, and take roll call at 8 p.m. in the night every day, and things like that. So it may happen in ICER Bhopal, it may happen in IIT Madras. These things happen all over the world. In general, I feel that in India, professors are a little bit more concerned about student welfare as compared to outside universities. My own experience was that I used to meet my PhD advisor very, very once in a while. He would not be, meeting me every day. He used to meet me once a month. So I used to struggle a lot with getting good guidance. On the contrary, when I look at my own PhD students, they are spoiled for attention. They get to meet me virtually when they want. So it depends. There's no universal answer, and I don't think that there is something particularly bad or wrong happening in India. It is true that we have lesser technical jobs are available in India compared to outside India, but that is slowly getting equilibrated. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Sir, can you tell us something about what you did to get into IIT Bombay? How you prepared to get into it?
What can I tell you? I studied. There's no real, you can go to various places, you can study by yourself. I am out of touch, frankly, because I did this 25 years ago. Since then, the format of the exam has changed, right? So I don't have a very good answer to tell you that will be of use to you. So what did I do? I studied really hard. That's what I did. I did not join one of those coaching centers where they do a fake 11th class and fake 12th class, but actually you're only doing coaching. One of the disadvantages that I have seen, we get a lot of students from coaching centers in Kota and Andhra, is that they crush the students so much in the practice and preparation that, all right, they clear the exam, but when they come to IIT, they're already burnt out. They are burnt out, they start bunking classes, they don't come to class, and they graduate with a very, very poor score. So then their job prospect after that becomes bad. I had in fact, this was true even at my time. There was a friend of mine in the same hostel wing as me. He had a double-digit All India rank. Double-digit means less than 20. His All India rank was less than 20. So you can imagine how good he must have been in his studies. This fellow, he was so burnt out from his coaching class experience of 11th and 12th. He came very proudly, I am All India rank so-and-so. But by the time he left and graduated IIT Bombay, he was at the bottom of the class. Because he had just lost all his motivation he had lost all his curiosity, all his motivation. So this is one of the disadvantages of this coaching center business, that they put you in a pressure cooker. And then, okay, you may get in, but you're not going to have fun. For me, fun is very important. You should be enjoying what you're doing.
One last question.
I think I can ask more if they want. 4:30. Okay. You have a question. Ask. Can you get the mic for him?
So recently, India's Railway Minister Ashwin Yadav inaugurated Hyperloop
Ashwini Vaishnav.
Ashwin Yadav.
Yadav, is it? Okay.
Ashwini. He inaugurated Hyperloop system in IIT Madras. So I was curious to know more about it. Means how it was developed. Means it was being developed in China also. So can it be implemented in Indian system?
Yes. So in fact, the name of the Hyperloop team is called Avishkar. So they also talked to me to get guidance about how to do the communications inside the Hyperloop, the pod. It's a futuristic technology. There is no reason that we cannot do it in India. And teams like IIT Madras, they are working on it. And if you so wish, you can also be involved in it. Either at IIT Madras or whichever college you go to next, you can, they will have a student team working on this. So China, it's a fact, in terms of technology, is ahead of everyone in this world, including USA. So we should not feel bad about it. It's a fact. So it's also, there's a lot for us to learn from them. So for example, when I was doing my PhD, I used to work alongside people of other countries, China, Iran, Israel, extremely hardworking people. We are not as hardworking as them. So we have to learn those things from them. And Hyperloop, of course, it's very much possible. It's not science fiction. It's possible. Okay.
I request Principal Sir to come here. Dear boys, truly the session of interaction today with our distinguished Professor Uday Sir has been very, very informative. And also, I must admit, I always thought that though I have taught so many years of physics, but never came across the word erupting ice pieces, ice crystals. I'll admit here, today only I came to know about it, because I did not go for an extensive reading of what happens in other centers. And I'm sure many of my students also would have been in the same ship of mind. Yes, volcano erupting. How many of you? Let us be honest. Good. So the interaction today was, I think in my view, it was two parts. One part about lots of higher innovations, that work done by Professor Sir shared with us, and it is very informative. If I were to gain the same thing all by myself, either by reading books or looking at some digital resources, it would take months together. An experienced professor can tell you such complex things, such difficult things in a very simple language, and make all of us understand. By many of times he took examples how to convey complex things by small experiments. Indeed, it was a learning session for me too, sir. Thanks a lot for me. And also, our students had asked certain questions, and one value point that I would say, as a listener like you must enjoy what you do as a student. That is the value point. And sir has told money is secondary. You need money, but money is there. But money does not give you that happiness of your or contentment of what you are doing. So the contentment part is what you do, what you love, that you must do. So that's a great value point also in the second portion of it. On behalf of the institution, I wholeheartedly thank Professor Uday Khankoje sir for his sparing his time and addressing students. And I must also tell you, to get a professor from IIT Madras like this casually, it's not possible. It happens because of the things in timeline, and we are happy about it. Thank you very much, sir. We conclude this with Shanti Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.
So I'm seeing some familiar faces from yesterday and mostly new faces. So it's a little bit of a difficult thing for me. Should I say the same thing again or should I say something new? New or same? New. New is not so easy. But because today we have less time, today we have half an hour, which I think more rather than me talking, it will be better if I get questions from you and then we can build on that. So the theme of what I want to talk about, or rather what I want to discuss with you, I don't want to give a lecture, is about science. Okay, and what are the various possibilities available in science in India these days. Okay, so can I just get a raise of hands? Who is interested in becoming, let's say, a scientist? Okay, I have 3 hands. How many want to become an engineer? Okay, more hands. What about, so there is still, this is still not the majority. What is the majority want to be? Doctor. Okay, doctor mean like medical doctor. Police. Okay, so for police you have to go a long way if you want to go via UPSC. Okay, doctors. How many for doctor? Okay, that's quite a lot. Anything? Okay, what else other than doctor, scientist, engineer? IAS. Okay. CA. Lawyer. Okay. Business. Very good. Okay. All right, so we've got a wide range. Obviously, since I am not a lawyer or a doctor, I cannot tell you about any of that. I'll tell you about science, but science is not in your class 10. Science is one subject, right? Is it one subject or is it 3 subjects? 3 subjects. What are those? Physics, chemistry, math, right? Now, physics, chemistry, math, a person who's interested in being a lawyer, do they have to study science? No, you have to study science for clearing your class 10, that I understand. But will you use it in your life if you are a lawyer? Wrong answer. If you want to be a good lawyer, you need to know science because, for example, you're solving a criminal case and that involves some bit of chemistry, maybe some bit of biology, maybe. Right? So you never know what will get used where. One example which I gave yesterday, everyone's heard of Dr. Abdul Kalam? Right, so they were working on making spacecrafts very light. The technology which they used to make the spacecraft light was next used to make the calipers for polio children very cost effective and weight effective. So you never know what gets used where. Okay. Okay, so let's make it interactive. What relating to science as a career, relating to engineering as a career, or relating to science in everyday life? What are some questions that you might have? What are you curious about? Let's start with that. Anything. You can ask me based on yesterday's talk as well. So who is interested in space exploration? Okay, front, everyone's interested in space exploration. Okay, do you know how you can become a space engineer in India? How? We can create? No, that is okay, you can give some exam and get there. But which are the organizations in India that do space research? ISRO is there. Now supposing, does anyone know of a university called IIST? Trivandrum, Indian Institute of Space Technology. So if you're interested in space technology, then you should start doing your homework from now and find out, okay, there is this university that specializes in space technology. You can apply to that. Like that, similarly for whatever you're passionate about, you can try to start doing your homework now. Don't depend on your parents, because whatever your parents, most parents are interested that their children get a good job, high-paying job, right? But that is a very low target. The higher target is to have a job that gives you satisfaction and that gives you some kind of a contribution to the country. I was mentioning yesterday that the amount of money that India spends for buying weapons from outside countries, it goes into thousands of crores every year. Thousands of crores goes, we give it to USA, Israel, France, Germany, but we can make it in India. But we are not doing it. So all of that money goes to them. They become rich. We remain not so rich. Okay, we are no longer a poor country, but we are not as rich a country. So you are the budding engineers and scientists of tomorrow who can make a change in that, right? If you say that we will make our own whatever weapons, medical devices, you know, all the MRI machines. Everyone heard of MRI? When do you go for an MRI? Injury, when you have an accident on the football ground which is serious, you will get an MRI. What is broken, the MRI will tell, right? Do you know that all our MRI machines are imported? We don't make our own MRI machines. It's not something very, very difficult to do. It's just that as a country we have become very comfortable. Let's buy it. What is the reason? Why innovate? But what are we doing? See, if I buy a MRI machine, who gets the benefit of that other than you who got the MRI scan? Who is benefiting from the purchase of that? Other countries, some technician, some engineer would be given a job there to make this machine, right? So their salaries are getting paid. What are you doing over here? You're just getting the scan and the hospital is paying a huge amount of money to buy that. Now because they have spent a lot of money in buying it, they will charge you a big bill. Now imagine like Mysore is very famous for being a railway center, right? You see railway property everywhere. Many of our railway wagons we make inside India. So that money, where does it go? If Southern Railway buys a railway coach, where does that money go? It stays in India. It goes as the salary of this person and that person. Maybe it is your uncle, your relative or whatever. That money stays here, so this country does better, right? But for all the high-end technology, all our money is going outside, right? So I'm telling, there is a general media misconception which your parents mostly will have, but you have to be very careful about. What is that misconception? Everyone should get software job. Okay, this is a total misconception, and media will make it all like a very big thing. Oh, so much package from Google, so much package from Amazon, whatever. But it's not true. I mean, there are many, many good technical jobs available. You're just 2 hours, you're away from which city? Bangalore, right? Bangalore is like, it's called the Silicon Valley of India. Lots and lots of jobs, not just software, all sorts of engineering. Now we are beginning to make our own fighter jets. For that you have to know aeronautical engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, all of that, right? And yes, you'll need good lawyers also. Why will you need good lawyers? Because everything, when you create intellectual, so supposing I make a design of an aircraft, okay, I need to patent that idea. Means I have to register that this idea is my idea. Now if anyone else wants to use this idea, you have to give me a royalty and recognize this is my idea. But everyone does not play correctly by the rules. So you need lawyers to enforce, file a patent and all of that. So for example, at IIT Madras, in my research group, we do research, we publish papers, we also publish patents. My students and I, we submit patents, they are granted. So for example, one patent that we were granted recently, we've made a miniature antenna. So an antenna that is smaller than the antenna in your cell phone. So we patented that idea. So tomorrow if some, I don't know, iPhone or whatever wants to use my idea, then they will give me and IIT Madras some recognition and some small cut, and they will start using this idea. Okay, and so you can see now all of these are small things. It's not like some big Nobel Prize or something, filing a patent. It's with some amount of work you can get it. But these are kind of things which you can think of, that you get a good idea, you can patent that technology, and then other industries can buy it from you and then make products out of it. So this is roughly one way of thinking about it, that in the space of technology, engineering, science, medicine, there is a tremendous scope available in this country. Don't get tricked into thinking that everyone has to do programming and coding. In fact, how many of you use AI? So many of you, most of you. So you know what is one of the, it's a very new technology, but it's a very, what they call disruptive technology. What does disruptive mean? It's going to change everything. So for example, a good AI program can write programs on its own. So what that means is all of these IT people are gradually, they're going to get out of jobs. Because what job they were doing, now AI can do. So don't get fooled by all of this, IT, AI kind of jobs, because they are automating things so much that there'll be very few jobs left. But AI cannot make a fridge. AI cannot make a MRI machine. It's hardware, nuts and bolts, electrical circuits, all of those things. Those skills are still needed, obviously, right? If you have if while playing football you break your knee, your smartphone is not going to help you with MRI. You need an MRI machine. Right. Okay, so this is roughly, I wanted to kind of give you a very, very broad idea of what is available in India in these areas. Let's have some more questions so we can go, in that direction. Any questions that you have? Let's say career related. Something that you were curious about, a job, yes.
What makes learning and teaching in IIT different from other colleges?
Okay, good question. So what makes learning and teaching in IIT different from other colleges? Okay, so very basic is that to become a professor in IIT, you need to have not just a PhD, but you need to have post-PhD experience. So I did my undergraduate in IIT Bombay, then I got my PhD in USA, then I worked in NASA for a year and a half, then I worked in another university, then I came back to India. So with all of this experience, when I teach science and engineering to students, I am not teaching from a textbook. I am teaching because this is my experience. I have already implemented this. I have built an antenna, I have done this and that. So when I'm telling students, I know what I'm talking about. I don't have to, look at the textbook and memorize and then just go and write on the board. What happens in many other colleges is the teachers themselves are not very experienced. They don't have an experience of research. So what best they can tell you is from textbook. So it is not very direct experience. So therefore the students don't get it. And so the learning is going to be less. Okay, but I'll tell you something which I mentioned yesterday, which is very useful. All of you can write this word down, NPTEL, NPTEL. So NPTEL, if you just Google for it, it is what IITs decided to do 20 years ago. We record all our courses, video recording of the lectures. So the full semester long courses is available on YouTube under NPTEL. So if you supposing you don't get admission to IIT, you go to a regular engineering college. Let us say you find that the teacher is not able to communicate to you. You can go to NPTEL and learn from IIT professors the full thing. Everything is provided over there. right? So now in today's day, you don't have an excuse, oh, my teacher is not up to the mark. Go to NPTEL. What is the problem? Even inside IIT, our students also go refer to NPTEL when they don't like their current professor. Right? Go to the best. And now the best is available. And like NPTEL, there are other websites called, for example, Course Era. Course ERA, Era, where you have lectures from other universities in the world. Sometimes their English accent can be a problem. That's why NPTEL is very good. So that's a slightly long answer to your question. Any other questions? Yeah. What are the career options in pure science? Okay, sit. That's a good question. So pure science is biology, chemistry, physics. Compared to engineering, the number of jobs are lesser. That is for sure. Because the number of pure scientists is going to be less than the number of pure engineers. Now there is a little bit of a misconception that if you're interested in pure sciences, you should not do engineering. In fact, in IIT, we have a department, we have a program called Engineering Physics. So students come from, after giving JEE, they can choose, do they want to go to electrical engineering or they want to go to engineering physics. So that way you can combine a science and engineering. That gives you a best of both worlds. You have the pure science background and you have the engineering background. I'll give you an example of my own research area, which involves electromagnetics. Has anyone heard the word electromagnetics? Yes? Not electromagnet, electromagnetics. Okay, so electromagnetics is the science of how sunlight, for example, reaches us. Does sunlight reach us immediately? How much time does it take? Now, why does it take 8 minutes? Distance, okay, so speed of light. Now, why is the speed of light 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second? Nature. So we, in the area of electromagnetism, we try to understand why is it this and not that? Why does it travel the way it does? Now, very strange thing, between Earth and the Sun, is there anything? It's vacuum. That means, are there any molecules? It's just empty. Still, energy is able to travel in vacuum. It's a non-mechanical wave. That's just a word. But isn't it a little strange? There is nothing, yet energy can travel through nothing. When you think of sound, for example, I am speaking over here. How is the sound reaching your eardrum? Air waves, right? If this were outer space and vacuum, would my sound reach you? No, right? You will just see my lips going like this. But the air is not there to convey the information. Now, this is a pressure wave. That is an electromagnetic wave. Yet it is traveling through vacuum and reaching us. So this is one of the things that you will study in science. Let's say you join a physics course. You will study this in science. Now we use this information and this knowledge to design an antenna. Now antenna is doing the same thing that the sun does, except at a little different frequency. The antenna is communicating to the base station. What is the difference? Can someone tell me? The wave that is going from my phone to the base station and sunlight that is coming from sun to us. Is there a difference? What is the difference? Frequency is different, right? But the physics behind it is the same. The same equations. Does anyone know what those equations are called? They're called Maxwell's equations. Maxwell, M-A-X-W-E-L-L. That's the name of the scientist behind whom this was named. So Maxwell's equations tell you how the wave travels from my phone to the base station. It also tells me how sunlight reaches me in 8 minutes. So with this knowledge, you can always combine science and engineering like this. Chemistry, for example. Most IITs will have a chemistry department. They will also have a chemical engineering department. So these things can get mixed. Biology. Biology has a very good intersection with electrical engineering. How? For making biomedical devices like a MRI machine, an X-ray machine. So it's a combination of electrical engineering and biology. One other area of research that my research group works on is how can we substitute X-ray by using our cell phones to get an image of the inside of a body at a low cost. All of this is possible. So, and we are working on how to make it very low cost for cancer detection. Okay, so pure sciences, relatively less, combine it with engineering, you get the best of both worlds. Okay, so it's not that these are two separate kind of boxes. Good question. Yeah.
Sir, every parent wants their child to become an IITian, but there are these new great private universities which are coming up, which are also in great demand, but the admission to IITs has not come down. So my question to you is that what differentiates IITs other than these private universities?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in my answer to him, one of the biggest, what is the biggest difference between a good school and a bad school? Is the teachers. If a teacher can inspire you, you will find the subject interesting. If the teacher is boring, you lose interest in the subject. Everyone agrees, and you have had some experience of that, right? That is the difference between a private engineering college and an IIT. So I'll tell you what is behind it all, little bit economics you should know. An IIT is funded by the government. So the teachers get a certain salary, which is not some very, very high salary. Can we have some silence, please? Yeah. In a private engineering college, who do you think makes the maximum money? Huh? Is it the teachers? No. Who is it? It's the management, because they will charge a very high fees, which the students, obviously students will not pay, their parents will pay, right? So many of these are in fact set up by who? Politicians. Right? So there is no incentive or motive to provide quality education. So again, when you say that a lot of private engineering colleges are in high demand, I question whether it's really in high demand or it's a media kind of a paid marketing something. So you have to see, what does it really mean? When you say that an engineering college, private engineering college is in high demand, I would be little suspicious. In general, I will mention this to all of you. Be very suspicious of what you read in the media. Many times things are paid for by people who want to kind of project that they are very great and very this and that. Right? So I don't believe that a private engineering college will have a better quality education than an IIT. I don't believe that. There may be few exceptions here and there, but by and large, I would not believe that. Yeah.
Sir, my name is Pritam, and my question is that which coaching center is best for joining IIT?
Which?
Coaching center.
I have no idea.
Like, best college?
No, I gave my JEE exam 25 years ago. Right? So I have no idea which is the coaching class now or what. If you ask me what I did to get into IIT, I'll tell you what. You want to know? You'll do it. I studied very hard. No, really, that's it. And you know, it was easier for me than it was easier for you. Why is that? Take one guess. I want one person to guess why. Okay, correct. Which distraction? Mobile phone. If you want to make sure that you don't get into IIT, sit with your phone all day long. That will guarantee that you don't get into IIT. So, I agree that it's a very difficult thing to manage. Even I have sometimes difficulty. I'm watching some YouTube short, and before I know it, 10-15 minutes have gone. I've watched some puppies and some dogs, some nonsense I've watched. And I think those 15 minutes of my life I will never get back. Agreed? Some nonsense we have seen. Now what is happening because of this? We are losing the ability to focus. And what IIT or any, I'll tell you what, IIT is not a big thing. The big thing happens after you join IIT. Supposing you join IIT and you join ISRO and you are supposed to design a lander that goes and sits on moon or Mars. That is the thing that requires much more effort and energy than some silly JEE exam. Now that time, if you're always stuck with your phone, you will never be able to concentrate. No, really, I'm telling you, your JEE exam, clearing the JEE exam is like getting a bus ticket. You enter the bus, but then you have to go somewhere with it, no? It's not enough to just get on the bus and tell everyone. Okay, your relatives and cousins will be very either proud or jealous of you, depends. But what is it to you? You have to go even further, no? Right? So it's endless. How much you can achieve in science and engineering is really endless. What are the ways in which you can preserve yourself? Don't get into social media. Okay, yesterday there was a question about a student who asked me something by reading Reddit. Have you heard of Reddit? So like Reddit, there is Quora, there are all of these things. And there's a very funny thing about human nature and the mind. We have what is called, and I'm not making this up, neuroscientists have said this, we have a negativity bias. What does negativity bias mean? That if there are 10 things that happened in a day, 9 things were positive, 1 thing was negative. Our mind goes and focuses on the one thing that was bad. Is it not true? Everything has gone nice, one thing did not go right, and we come and crib and complain and, oh, this was not good, but 9 good things happened to you, right? So what happens what is the relation between this and your Quora or Reddit? When people are upset, they will go and post all their troubles on Reddit and Quora. When something good is happening, no one has the time to go and post on Reddit and Quora. They're busy doing the work. Obviously, if you're having a good time, making some spacecraft, making some new MRI machine, will you have the time to go and post on Reddit, hey, I'm having a great time? No one does that. Right? When something does not work, when you have a negative experience, oh, India is so bad, you'll go and post something over there. 10 people will give thumbs up, like, I don't know what else, right? And it'll become like a thing. But actually, the real people are doing the work quietly without doing this trumpeting of opinions. So stay away from this social media business. Look at your own world, your own reality. Invest energy and time in that. Okay?
So firstly, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year to you all.
So yesterday you told us that whatever we do, we must enjoy it.
Yes.
So the question is how can we make reading through a textbook fun and interesting?
Okay, good question. So I said yesterday that you should have fun doing what you're doing. And his question is, I have this very boring textbook in front of me. How can it possibly be fun? Is that your question? Huh? Okay, so when I said you should have fun, it does not mean you're going to be having fun every 15 minutes of the day. That is not the meaning of fun. What I mean by fun is a long-term satisfaction. Now, supposing you want to participate, you have a sport that you like. Football. Okay, let us say you're very passionate about football and your dream is you want to play for India in the Olympics. Good. That's the highest goal you can think of. Now to achieve that, do you have to practice? You have to practice. Do you have to practice hard? You have to practice very hard. You have to get up at 5 o'clock and run 10 rounds of this thing. When you're doing that, if I ask you, are you having fun? What will you say? No, obviously, let's be honest. But you'll still do it. Why? Your passion is something. So in the effort to reach your passion, you may have to do things which are not fun. And it's okay. As long as you have a vision. So if you have a vision, then you can put in the hard work required. Later on you will have, while you're playing football, you're having fun. Good enough. So to achieve our final goal of having fun later on, having satisfaction later on, we have to do the hard work. Let's not say it is not fun, let's say it's hard work. And anybody who has achieved anything in life, you talk to anyone, whether it's an army guy, a lawyer, a scientist, whatever, they will all tell you one thing, we put in a whole lot of hard work, which was not fun. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, studying for, 16 hours a day. Does that sound hard? Yes? I did that. That's why I got into IIT. So you see, now I'm having a good time. Why am I having a good time? I'm doing research, I'm doing science, I'm guiding students, I'm working with the government, I'm working with private companies to do research. I'm having a fantastic time. If I have some good ideas, I have a few bright students, they come, we work together, we solve those problems. Would I be having this fun if I didn't put in the hard work? So make it practical, apply it to your life and say, okay, this is not fun, but I'm doing it for a reason. Then you will get the motivation to do it. Simple.
So you've got the experience of working in NASA and ISRO. So what observations do you see when you compare the two?
Oh, so I worked at NASA. I didn't work at ISRO because I worked with ISRO from the outside. We collaborated with them. But there's an important question over here. I won't tell you between NASA and ISRO. I'll tell you something else. When I first came to USA, I was given a roommate. So I stayed in a house. My roommate was from Iran. Okay. So different country. Then the rest of my classmates, they were not Indians. They were from China, Korea, Europe, USA and all. You know what I observed? Indians are not the most hardworking people. That was what I observed. Chinese, Iranians, they work so hard. So it's actually very inspiring for us. When you sit in India, what do you read in the media about China? All negative things, right? But it's not true. You go and talk to them. They're decent people and they work very hard and they care deeply about their country. We can learn all of these qualities from them. And now, because of their consistent hard work, they are technologically ahead of USA. They don't stick around in USA anymore. They go back to China, they start their companies in China, they start their universities in China. And we are only left behind cribbing, oh, China this, China that. What China this, China that? All our stuff is bought from China. Something you buy from Amazon, 90% it will be made in China. Isn't it? Why is it made in China? Because they have figured out how to make manufacturing cost effective. Simple. Why can't we do that? You see, you go to Mysore in the day, what time do shops open? 10 o'clock. What are they doing from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock? You know, so our work culture, our work ethic is a little relaxed and thanda. So you guys have to change that. So that is roughly what I want to say. It's not exactly NASA and ISRO, but our work culture, we have a lot to learn from other people. And generally, I'll tell you, try not to criticize other people, other countries. Instead, what is positive in them, learn from that. That is enough. Okay, there was a question there? Yeah. Why? Okay, 219. Okay. Sorry to disappoint those people who thought I was going to say 1. Okay, yes.
Sir, this coaching institute nowadays, they offer IIT Foundation courses from classes 6 itself, and I think it is a burden for those children like in the age of 12 or 13 to start preparing for IITs from 6th or 7th. Do you think it is really necessary for them?
I'll tell you something even worse. You've heard of Mozart? Anyone has heard of Mozart? Mozart was this Western classical musician, lived 300 years ago. So his music is very popular, and some people believe that if you listen to Mozart, your brain power increases. So you will find on the internet people selling Mozart JE music for 5-year-olds. It's ridiculous. A 12-year-old student should be enjoying his football and cricket rather than thinking of JEE examination, which is 6 years later. So I think it's a very bad idea. Even this integrated coaching where you are in some kind of a fake school. In this fake school, you will do your 11th and 12th, but actually you're not doing 11th and 12th, you're doing JEE preparation, right? In my opinion, it's not a very healthy thing. You burn out in 11th and 12th only. There are so many students that we meet in IIT, because I see new students every year. I meet them, right? Every year there is a new batch. Every year we go and talk to them, welcome them and all of them. And then we are teaching them. And we are seeing that, hey, you fellows have, cleared the most difficult exam. You have come here. Why are you not interested? Why are you bunking classes? It's not that they're going to some movie hall or something. They're just burnt out. They're like, ho gaya hamara. We're just so stressed out and exhausted by, doing this kind of a ghodagiri that now I just want to chill. So they'll just sleep, generally go into a very negative state. So hard work is necessary, but you have to draw, like I was telling him, hard work is necessary, but up to a certain point. You should not lose your mind in the process. So this starting from 6th standard now is total nonsense. I don't think it's a good idea. You need to have a healthy and a balanced mix of play and studies. So when I mentioned I was studying very hard for IIT, I also went and did my sports. It was not that I was just doing this thing. Maybe last few months I concentrated, but otherwise we used to play cricket, we used to play football. So, and I tell all my students also that keep one sport always. You guys are very lucky here. You have such fantastic sports facilities that you all will at least know 1 or 2 sports very well. Right? So you will see so many of my classmates, they joined IIT along with me. And if you meet them now, they look 10 years older than me. They have big fat pot belly. They never learnt any sport. So their life is very different now. Okay, one final question and then we'll call it quits. Yes, final question.
Sir, in today's education system, especially in India, specialization only starts from our class 11. So I heard from that if we allow specialization in stream specialization from high school itself, then people can actually pursue their actual passion instead of studying unnecessary subjects which they don't want to. So what is your opinion on that?
I don't have a very strong opinion on this for the simple reason this is not my area of expertise. So I don't want to generally give an answer for it. The existing system seems okay to me, but I may be wrong. So I don't want to say something about which I don't know. So, okay, thank you very much. So I think I am standing between them and snacks, right? Yeah. Okay, so off you go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful address. Now let's conclude the program with Shanti Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.